talking about one Guyana. When the Ministry of Culture keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. They hiding corruption inside the cup, look how we evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clout. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Baratans too. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. I done fed up on the dirty water, low pressure, want scream and tell somebody. Imagine 1500 US and they tell it.
Pleasant good evening, everyone. Welcome to Over to You, a show for the people, by the people. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're deep into the festive season. I hope that you're all doing well. I hope everybody's healthy. I hope everybody's preparing for Thursday, where they're going to celebrate Christmas Day with their family happily. Well, we have quite a few things to discuss this evening. All right, I know there's a lot of Guyanese on the ground that are very unhappy at the moment, but we're gonna dig in and we're gonna discuss, right? We're gonna dig in, we're gonna discuss. I ask that you guys just go ahead and do your little administrative duty, share the link, like the broadcast. Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. This is the people's program. It's not Wayne Caesar's program. It's the people's program. I am merely your host, and thank you for allowing me the latitude to be your host. And also thanks to everyone who allows this program to come into their homes every Saturday. Good evening to everyone on the ground, downtown Georgetown and Guyana from a holistic perspective. Good evening to the broader Caribbean and South America. A pleasant good evening to all those in North America. My brothers and sisters out in Europe, good night. I don't know if it hit 12 yet. I don't think so, but it should be closing in there. And all around the world, welcome to the broadcast. Welcome everyone. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the Christmas roll call. All right, let's start off. Yvonne Rodriguez, Barbados is in the house. A pleasant good evening to you. Sandra Hanover, the omnipresent freedom fighter. A pleasant good evening to you, Miss Sandra Hanover, and I hope you're preparing to have a very blessed Christmas. Rhonda Tuesday, beautiful name. Good evening, welcome to the broadcast. Puran Ramdas, I think Region 2 is in the house. A pleasant good evening to you. I hope you're preparing to also have a good Christmas. Marcus Paul, good evening. Canarsie, Brooklyn. Yes, big up. Brooklyn in the house. Good evening to you. Miss Vashti Magnot, good evening. Welcome to the broadcast. Jennifer, good evening. Welcome to the broadcast. Althea Wade, good to see you and good evening. Welcome to the broadcast. Edward Gonzalez, welcome to the broadcast. The Honorable Mr. Victor Ben, the first Canadian in the house, welcome to the broadcast. Miss Aileen Norton, a pleasant good evening to you and welcome to the broadcast. The Honorable Mr. Neville Seatal, it's great to see you. Good evening, welcome to the broadcast. I hope that you and your family are doing well. Matthew Dennison, Harlem in the house. Good evening. Harlem, Manhattan, Harlem in the house. Good evening. Mary Figueroa, our second Canadian in the house. Good evening to you, Mary. Miss Shondell Griffith, a pleasant good evening to you, my sister. Welcome to the broadcast. Miss Brenda Braithwaite. Good to see you, Miss Braithwaite. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're preparing to have a pleasant holidays with your family. Yolanda Thomas, welcome to the broadcast. Good to see you. Ruth Sukraj Dainty, welcome to the broadcast. Rosemary Martindale Brackett, is good to see you. Susan London, is good to see you. Don Sampson, is good to see you. Happy Christmas to all of you. Paulette Hicks, great to see you. Darkus John, good to see you. Happy Christmas to you and your family. Miss Desiree Smart Felix, the third Canadian by way of New Amsterdam, good to see you. I hope you're preparing for a pleasant Christmas with your family. Alvorn Henry, good evening. Welcome to the broadcast. Diane Fordyce, good to see you. Abida Monroe, welcome to the broadcast. Deslyn Wilson, by way of Victoria, the Forest Village. All right, the Forest Village, what we call the Forest Village. Good to see you. Brenda Bailey, good to see you. Kenneth DeFlormont, by way of Maryland, good to see you. My friend Karen Clark, good to see you. Maxine Monroe, good to see you. Paulette Hicks, I may have called your name before. Shanette Alcier, welcome, welcome, welcome everyone. Miss Ann John, good to see you. Pam Halls, good to see you. Steve Dunlap, good to see you. Good to see everyone here. If I miss your name, I'm so very, very, very sorry. Okay? All right. Ann Samagon, welcome to the broadcast. Yvonne Meredith, Paula Jeffers, good to see you guys. So True Hector, good to see everyone here this evening. You know, I thank you guys so much for taking the time to support this program. All right. All right, lots to get into, right? Where do we start? All right, let's go back to our last two programs, right? Before this one. I would have said it a couple of times that do not get yourself too prepared for a cash distribution. It is not going to happen. Well, that has come to fruition. All right. And there's reasons why you're not going to get a cash distribution, although it was promised. Right? It was promised. So a government is allowed, as part of their manifesto, to make a promise to their people and then to go back on it. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't typically find that. You don't typically find that. That government has to be well backed. That government has to, they have to have mechanism in place to make sure that they can continually win elections, if it is that elections is determined by the people. Right? We're making a point here, right? We're gonna dig a little deep this evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're not gonna just take this thing at face value. We gotta go a little deeper. All right? We gotta get a good understanding of why it is that the PPP behaves the way the PPP behaves. All right? If the PPP does not have support, external support, we would not be seeing this posture. Okay? But the PPP is supported strongly externally. That's why it is that I have a lot of issues. I have a lot of issues with sanctions. I have a lot of issues across the board. But I'm not going to get into the details of that, because we are looking at why it is that the PPP is postured and the PPP is behaving the way that they are behaving now. Right? and why it is that Guyanese are experiencing what they're experiencing now. Because voting absolutely has consequences. Okay? We can't put bread to bake in an oven, and when we open the oven, we get in buns. Right? You're getting what you voted for. You continue to show up at PPP events. You continue to put your hope in the PPP. Like the sugar workers are finding out. And like many are going to find out during this 5-year cycle. Now, it was promised to the Guyanese people in the PPP manifesto that they will give them a cash distribution of $200,000. During the installed president's address, he indicated that they will make provisions in budget 2026 to give out what the PPP calls a cash grant. I don't know anything about grant. I know about a cash distribution to the citizens of Guyana that they fully deserve. After 5 years, going on 6 years of extraction of their resource, their oil, not the PPP oil, not Irfan Ali Barra Jagdion and Nadalal oil, but the oil that belongs to the people of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Okay? Now, let's put this into context here. My calculations tells me $55 billion is needed for a cash distribution. Right? Because I am not going to go with the narrative that Guyana has more than, 550, maybe 600,000 adults. Right? We don't have any census reports to really show anything because that has not been released. Right? We don't have anything. Here again, the PPP being non-compliant. Here again, the PPP being a dictatorship, basically. Right? Dr. Terence Campbell would have made recommendations that he wanted updates. He wanted to see information with regards to the Natural Resource Fund. So far, the PPP has been non-compliant. All right. All of this is pointing us to a dictatorship government. All right. The United States of America and other large economies have claimed that they don't deal with dictators. That's what they've claimed. Right? And here you are. Here you are. You have a sitting U.S. ambassador in Guyana and she's seen these things. You have a British High Commissioner, they're all seeing these things. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to get to the mouth of this. We got to get to the head of this. Why Guyana and Guyanese are sitting in the positions that they're in today is simply because of regime change. Regime change would have occurred in Guyana also. A lot of people just jump out and they curse David Granger and all these type of things. But you know something? David Granger had the Guyanese people at heart. David Granger had the Guyanese people at heart. He didn't jump to take any deal that was just thrown on the table. It had to be thought through. It had to be thought through. But you guys got to understand, here you have a David Granger. He doesn't have baggage. But here you have Barry Jagdeo and his PPP cartel. They have baggage. The US have baggage on them. I don't care what they say. They have baggage on them. Okay? And Barry Jagdeo and his cartel is willing to do whatever it is that Massa asks. So they are the chosen ones. Right? This is all about benefits to the large economies and their companies that are down on the ground in Guyana. This is not about the Guyanese people. But before I get more into what the president had, the installed president had to say and all these things, let me say this. Here's a message to all the big, large economies, the big powerhouses of the world that have their big guns and we can't fight them. To the extent you're going to bully us and take everything away from us, here's what I urge you guys to do. All right? Simple. Get both parties, however you want to look at them, lead party, opposition, whatever. Get all on sundry informed, bring them together and tell them, hey, after we take what we take and this lopsided deal that's in our favor, after we take all that we take, the little dribblings that is left, can you all be sure to share it with equity and equally? Okay? Because, you know, I have some major issues when people call people terrorists. There is nothing such as a terrorist. And if there's a terrorist, that terrorist was created from something. That terrorist was created from something. Is either you've bombed their country, you've decimated their families, you've done something to them. What's happening in Guyana is essentially economic genocide. You have one group that is gaining and is living lavishly. And then you have 60% of Guyanese that are experiencing a high measure of poverty. How do you guys go into the holidays and sit down under a tree and you're merry and happy with your families and think about how you're decimating Guyana? Don't worry the infrastructure. That's bullcrap. Don't bring that nonsense here. Okay, we're talking about human beings. We are talking about human beings at Christmas. I just have to get real with you guys. Because you guys just consistently lie to people. You use your big media broadcasting stations and you just perpetuate lies to the people. Let's talk about the truth. Let's talk about the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, I expect a few calls this evening. So I think I'm getting one. A pleasant good evening, caller. Welcome to Over to You.
It's a good evening.
Yes, just speak up a bit loud so that my audience can get you. So as loud as you can, please, and make sure your phone is up as loud as possible.
Yes, Wayne, could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Let me check with my audience. Can you guys hear the caller? Just a quick yes would be good.
You hearing me? Everyone hearing me?
I didn't get a response yet. Audience, can you tell me if you're hearing the caller? Yes. I got a couple of yes. Good. All right, you can go ahead.
I hope your cold treating you nice. I'm in my short pants.
Oh, you're in short pants. Okay, nice.
Good.
So I guess you're in a warm.
Sorry to rub that in.
Yeah. I feel kind of bad, but it's okay. I'll take it.
Good. You know, let's talk about this thing. You know, one of the things I realize with people who are for the government, right? Everything that whenever people presents facts today, right? About a year and a half or 2 years ago, you always hear it's AI. No, sorry, it's Photoshop. Today now you're hearing it's AI. Well, why I'm saying this, Dr. Todd last night posted a billboard, which was posted there with a promise from Fanali stating that people are going to get cash grants. And their audience, right? And I guess these are people, these fakes, right? These trolls that is working out of Kwame's office, coming out and saying now that is Photoshop and AI. But one thing I know is that the internet is unforgiving. So whatever you say out there, we will find it, right? And Dr. Todd was correct in showing this thing. This is a promise that you people make. But I'm going to go back. They would have gotten better than a cash grant had they read APNU's manifesto. Because your child who would have been going or who is attending university or technical school would have gotten $50,000 stipend per month. All right? In 4 months, that's a cash grant that them people promise you. All right?
But caller, stick a pin there. You heard what you said, right? 50,000 a month stipend, which is accurate. Right. Yes, that was that is in the manifesto of APNU. But listen to me. I want us to go through this scenario. $50,000. We have to think about the thought process of Guyanese these days. Right? They're hearing $50,000 stipend. It has to do with education. Right? That education can lead to great benefits in the future. Right? That education can lead them out of poverty. Right, my brother? You're agreeing with me, right? But here what they allow to overwhelm that. They allow that $200,000 cash grant. You understand me? That fake cash grant. That lie that was told to overwhelm that. But you can continue.
Yes. The thing is that people today, they think like a microwave. Delayed gratification is a thing of the past. It's a thing of the past. And we don't sit down to think. We don't multiply. Multiplication is dead. Addition is dead. All they want is now, now, now. And if you people listen to those people and their promises, just like how in 2020 they told the public servants, we're going to give you $50,000, 50% increase in wages, right? And in 3 years, let's go back some more, right? David Granger and that his administration was able to give them 70% raise in 3 years. Did they get for the 5 years 10% raise? Or let's be a little more generous. 15% in raise in salary? No.
But caller, take a pause there. When Comrade Granger did what he did, we didn't have a $1.382 trillion budget. Okay?
We didn't get in $1 million out of oil per day.
There you go. All right, there you go. And he was still able to get these things done. And look, yes, it's on the Comrade Granger.
Thanks to Dr. Jordan.
Yes, I was just going there. Big thanks to the Honorable Mr. Winston Jordan. Yes, and like I said, I would have taken the time to comb through all of his budgets.
Good.
Okay?
Right.
All right, keep going.
Forward, next promise they got, which would have been better than a cash grant. Public servants, you would have been getting $400,000. That would have been the tax threshold.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Better than a cash grant. Better
Yes.
than a one-off something.
Yes.
Right? So where are you today? Right? Where are you today?
You see, with that 400,000 tax threshold, right? You wasn't gonna lose anything, because what they could have done is take a little of the oil revenue to subsidize. You understand me? They could have taken some of that to subsidize that quote unquote lost revenue, which is not a whole lot by Guyana standards, because what? Guyanese are not paid what they should be paid.
Should be paid. No, we're not. We're not. People don't like to listen to educated programs and programs that give you real good information. Had they listened to Mr. Jordan on Thursday a while back when he said a cash grant is impossible for the rest of this year, right? Because he talked about going back to Parliament for a supplementary budget, and you can't do that, right, with what they have here today, right? He said it. He said it to them, but people do not listen to educated programs. They just want to hear toxic things. They just want to hear cuss out. They want sweet juice is cuss out. Oxygen for people today is cuss out. But we could move on a little bit.
Yes.
I listened to the rambling, the 2.5-hour rambling gone which day last week there in front of some fancy people. And one of the things that keep beating me in my head every time he said, you know, it was hard to listen to it. It was really, really hard to listen to it. You know, it was like laying there with your eyes open and seeing the cardiologist working on your heart. That is what I went through, right? And he kept harboring on technology. And he said that, you know, we've got some of the best. He's trying to say that the technology hub is becoming Guyana. Number one, brother man, we don't even have proper power infrastructure in that country.
Right.
Maintain
there you go.
In my bedroom.
There you go. There you go.
We do not have it. Which reality are you and your people living in? The tech hub for this Caribbean region, facts now, is Barbados. For startups and fintech ecosystem. Then Jamaica, Trinidad and Puerto Rico. We do not have what it takes, the human resource nor the infrastructure to support anything with technology. A few months back, he's been talking about AI. Do you understand what it takes to run server to keep those things, servers that supports AI running, brother man? 2 hours or 3 hours ago, the emergency room in Georgia Hospital was blacked out.
Well, listen.
What are you talking?
Well, look, caller, listen. Look, everybody has a right to dream. Okay? Everybody has a right to dream. And I believe that this installed president...
You're not sleeping.
Right. Well, look, and you're correct. You're correct when you talk about us having the infrastructure from an electricity and power position. You understand me? We're talking about e-classes. We're talking about all these online courses. And, you know, when you call into villages in Guyana, they're always in blackout. All right? So, look. So, but let's go back.
Who are being graded miserably because they have to use their phone to get onto University of Guyana site to do their classes with lecturers around this world, and they cannot maintain a good 2 hour consistently online.
Well, I just hope that they're not penalized by those lecturers and they understand. Because that's not an issue of the students. That's not an issue really of the university. That's a government issue.
Exactly.
Right? That's a government issue.
We got more broadband, this and broadband that, and we're the leaders in technology. Look at our university. I'm sure our tech lab is a crap. Look at the condition of the highest learning institution in the country. When you drive through there, it's like, what the hell is this? Is this a university?
Well, you know something, caller, let's look, and you're making an excellent point, but let's look at the two sides here. I'm put Win to the side for now. I'm not dealing with Win right now. I want to deal with the PPPC and I want to deal with APNU. All right? Look at them. Look at the difference in education. All right. You can see these guys on the side of APNU. They're well accomplished, well educated. I am not talking about somebody. I am not speaking of somebody sitting there. I am not speaking of somebody sitting there as Attorney General that is very, very dunce. I am talking about these guys on the side of APNU from Comrade Norton right down through his people.
Thank you.
Well educated. So it is obvious. It is obvious that if APNU would have been sitting in government today, they would have focused 110% on education. Because let me tell you something. You cannot eradicate poverty without education. You could never eradicate poverty without education. They go together when it comes to eradicating poverty.
Correct.
Go ahead, caller.
Correct. And it's good that you say hit on poverty. I don't care if people say we got what they say 55%.
We have 58%. And you know us accountants, we wrong it. We always call it 60%. 38%
in a fancy word poverty. Poverty is
well 32%. 32% extreme poverty.
Poverty.
Yes.
Right. I don't care. We got 70% of the people living in poverty. Poverty is poverty.
Yes, correct.
You understand me? And those of 58 gonna soon end up like the 30 something, so it's still 70%. You understand? It's still 70%. The things that this government is doing, they're not thinking. Right? They're so proud to say that we've built a tourism institute in Port Moran. Fine. You built a tourism institute in Port Moran. A student from Georgetown would like to attend that institute. What's going to happen? Right? It's good that you built a university in Port Moran, a campus in Port Moran. Why not in all three regions you build institutes for these people? Why not in Linden you establish that? Linden that is going through so much. Linden that is being beaten up like an abused woman. Why are you not supporting that town?
Well, they can start off by opening back the nursing school up in Linden there, you know, so that we can continue to do an excellent job pushing out excellent nurses in Guyana, rather than having to go there and bring in nurses from other places at $1,500 US dollars a clip every month, providing food and housing and everything for them. And what's wrong with Guyanese nurses?
Nurses have to interpret a lot of times for those that you bring in.
Correct. Correct. And listen, and if you do not have somebody to interpret, that can be very critical. That can be life and death for a patient, you know.
Exactly.
All right.
Because within seconds, exactly. You know? You touched on it. I jumped ahead, but you touched on the Attorney General, right? And you said that you're going to put Win aside for a few minutes, right?
Yes.
And why want to bring Win in right now? You said, you know, Azudine is an embarrassment going to be an embarrassment to the country because he has these charges, etc., right? And swearing him in as the opposition leader. They're getting the elections, bam, he going to be sworn in. He for sure going to win the leader of the opposition, right? Fine. Right? You see that this is a national embarrassment. But when your president was sworn in, he still had the 19 fraud charges over his head. And until he was sworn in, then the DPP dropped those charges.
Well, they have amnesia. They have amnesia when it comes to these type of things, caller. You got to understand that. Okay?
Amnesia. He's the Attorney General. He had his charges too for the law books.
Look. I'm looking through my comments here. Mr. Egerton David, put modern training equipment in the Linden training complex. That is an excellent point there. That is an excellent point right there, because we have a lot of young men out there in Linden, you know, not working. Can definitely do with some training. And then what you can do, you can put a monthly stipend in place for these people that will encourage them.
Exactly.
You understand me? To go to these training. Look, brother Israel Gordon. Linden is not a part of Guyana. Well, he is correct. Linden is not treated like if it is a part of Guyana. And come on, guys. We have to call, if we see a duck, we got to call a duck a duck. Okay?
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
And the reason that Linden is treated this way is because Linden has been known to be predominantly Afro-Guyanese. Region 10 is an Afro-Guyanese place. Okay? And I believe that right now the designs of Guyana, the way everything is designed across Guyana, is not to benefit Afro-Guyanese. But here we have something up here. Carl, if you could hold on 1 second. If you could hold on 1 second. Here we have something up here. Okay? Prosville Community Day. Street football and Christmas giving. Ladies and gentlemen. All right? Prosville Community Day. This is occurring tomorrow. All right? It's in Linden.
Please attend, people.
Keeping a promise to the children of Prosville, Linden. All right. The Benchop Foundation has donated 3 laptops to be given out tomorrow, along with monetary contributions. All right. Now, I want to say this. This is not a one-off. And this is not done for votes. This is done from the heart. All right? And that's the thing about the APNU to me that really stands out. Right? They don't have government resources at hand that they can go there and just throw out and give out money and give out things. Right? But the little that they have, they take the time to share it. All right? This is the festive season. A lot of children are going to go hungry. A lot of households is not going to have pepper pot on the tables. Okay? Because look, when we look, and this is no fiction. Because we have 60% poverty rate to match exactly what I'm saying here. Right? And the PPP talk about their record. Now, this flyer that's up here, when we want to talk about the record, this is representation of a record. This promise here was not made on the PNCR's manifesto. But I believe that this promise was made when I saw those 12 MPs on the ground in Linden a few weeks back. And it has already come to fruition. Without $1.382 trillion, this was able to come to fruition. So listen, to be honest, there's other people that's going to go out there and do things, but you got to think about the authenticity of what they're doing. Okay? And like I said before, to the people of Guyana, you have to examine yourselves. Examine yourselves, yes, and also examine your leaders. All right? Your quote-unquote leaders, to make sure that they're authentic and what they're doing is for your best interests. All right? So I want to say kudos to the Honorable Member of Parliament, Mr. Sharma Solomon, and his team, for putting this together and for making sure that the dreams of these young children come true in this time. Because, caller, you and I both know, this is not a time that dreams come true. This is a time of poverty in Guyana. Yes. This is what it is. So again, Mr. Sharma Solomon and team, Deputy Mayor Dominic Blair, yes, must give Dominic a shout out. Big up to you, Dominic. Okay, thanks to you guys for putting this together. For the young people of Prosville, it makes my heart feel good, caller, to know that there are some children that's going to be happy tomorrow. We need more of this. We need more of this. This is what we need in Guyana. This is what's going to bring about that change. All right? This is how we work towards eradicating poverty. We all got to be a part of the change. We can't hold hands. We got to lock hands together. We got to lock hands together They must not be able to separate us.
Nope. We can't give them that chance.
Watch out, Gavin Caesar. Watch out, the PPP will try to match. They're going to try to match not with their own money. They're going to try to match with the state resources.
Exactly. They're never original. They're
never
original. They come out with an original idea. And everything that they copy is half-assed. Sorry for using such words. They cannot finish it because they do not have what it takes to finish it. They do not have what it takes to finish it. You know, when you said something about Indian Technical School, right?
Yes.
This is not blowing my own horn, but I went to the best technical school in the Caribbean, as I will say, and everyone else will tell you, and that's the Port Morant Training School. It's boarding school. For 2 years we lived in there, and it was the best thing in the Caribbean. Majority of us that come out from there, anywhere we go, we leave a mark in this world.
What year did you attend? That?
1986.
1986.
And I worked at Rose Hall Estate. It's owned by Guy Suku. One of the things that they should have done is save that place. I can remember principal who was also the principal said to me one time, he visited, they normally have what you call the technical school principals meeting, right? And the state of Linden Technical School, and that's on the PPP, he was shocked, and it hurt him that they from Port Morant had to start supporting Linden Technical School at that time when the sugar was a bit viable. You understand? And this was by design. He said this was by design, not to train people in that community, which is predominantly Afro-Guyanese, not to give you a skill that could make you not depend on the government, that you could become somebody of yourself working on your own. Because we all know once you have a trade, you're the boss.
But let's remember, caller. Let's remember, yes, and you're correct. But let's keep in mind also, these are all attempts to dilute the history and the accomplishments of the late great Linden Forbes Sampson Burnham. Let's put that in perspective. Okay? Let's put that in perspective as I have to prepare for another caller. But I want to really, really thank you for your inputs this evening. And I look forward to hearing from you again and us continuing this discourse.
You sure will. This is not the first, this is not the last, so we shall continue beating this iron because we have to make sure that we keep these people in check and let people know. People, I'm begging you people, listen to proper programs, listen to proper conversations, stop being or staying under these people spell. Stop being subjugated. We know that they're doing it by design, that they're subjugating you by design. Please be strong. Please be strong. You have to decolonize your mind. Please decolonize your mind, people. These are not your savior. These people are not your savior. They are not there for you. It's nothing more than economic apartheid that is going on in that country. And please, you heard what he said. He's having dinner with his fancy people. You're not a fancy person for him. Please, and that's a 1% of people. People, you have to pull yourself out of this. Do not depend on a leader from somewhere else externally. You got to do it. The external forces love dealing with dumb people because you get the most from dumb people when you're doing business. You get the hog of the cake. That's all I have to say.
Caller, before you go, I want to ask you a question because you harp on programming. What typical programs you like looking at?
Yours, Mark's, Sharad, Kadaki Amsterdam, Oxford Morning, right? Especially days like on Thursday when we get a lecture from Dr. Jordan and we all say, right? Because you got man got a doctorate there that can't even use it properly because he never do it. Doctorate in urban something, and look at we place, right?
All right.
Those shows, you understand me? People, listen to these people. Dr. Hyde,
Yes.
Brother Slow.
Yes.
It's education, education, education. Take your head out of the toxic nonsense that you're accustomed listening to. That puts you nowhere, no place. And before I go, remember the rumor going around that the man is sick? The man get cancer, the man is up on the bed and he's shitting himself and what's not? People, be smart. This guy always play this game. It's a game. He always play that game and then he reappears like the savior. Stop listening to the toxic nonsense that is coming around your brain.
Yeah, I agree with you, caller. I agree with you. Whether he's there or not is the same 60% poverty rate. I agree with you, but I'm gonna prepare for this next call, and we're gonna catch up on a later program. All right, yes. Thank you so much for your input. Thank you so much. That was well said. Well directed. Beautiful, fruitful conversation. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we have to keep it real. It is what it is. You know, we got to move. The country has to move forward. All right. Whether government is working for you or not, a plan has to be put in place. Okay, that the people that government is not working for is able to continue moving forward. But I must say this, if government is not working for people, people cannot support that government. And the PPP government is a government that is well supported by a lot of businesses. Okay? By a lot of businesses. I say this, businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to start paying attention to our little mom and pop businesses in our villages. Okay? We got to start getting back to our little self-help. I see the Honorable Victor Ben would have talked about us having oh man, what do you call this place? When I remember the name, I'm gonna tell you guys where the people in the village bring their greens to the co-ops. Yes, thank you, Mr. Ben. That was slipping my mind. The co-ops. Look, there are some things that we would have had in the past that we should have never gotten rid of. Okay? And it's because we have gotten rid of some of those things and have gotten very, very sporty. We have become 100% consumers. Hence the reason we are facing what we are facing today, because we don't own anything. We do not own anything. Anyone who is into business, accounting, finance, management, you guys know how important it is to have assets. Okay? And when you're talking about a family, a home, that's like the most important asset. Owning your own home. You're not subjected to paying rent to somebody else every month. When you pay rent, there's no equity for you there. You live the month, and if they throw you out next month, there's no equity. But when you own your home, every time you pay that mortgage, you gain equity. You own something. Eventually, once that mortgage is finished paying off for, you own that home. It is yours for you and your family. Guyanese, we gotta start getting smart. And look, we are way behind. We are way behind. Because when you look at the real estate market in Guyana, The normal born and bred Guyanese is priced out of his own market. Imagine that. Priced out of his own market. And government seeks to do absolutely nothing about that. Nothing. You know, a lot of times people tell you have to be careful how you talk, you have to be, but you know something, facts is facts, man. Facts is facts. Guyanese are not showing up at the Canadian border, the US border, or anybody's border, complaining that y'all are extracting and taking away our wealth and we're following our wealth. They are staying in their country, living under an oppressive government with a poverty rate of 60%. When you talk, people get upset. But I'm going to say this nevertheless. These are the type of behaviors that triggers civil wars. These are the type of behavior, these are the type of things. Because people grow tired. People grow tired of seeing one set of people getting rich, seeing equity for one set of people in a country that is quote unquote the fastest growing economy in the world. But you want to ask me the question if I am surprised? I am not surprised. It is history that is repeating itself. I am not surprised. And I ask the question, how long are we going to sit and allow history to repeat itself? How long? How long? I certainly believe that the truth needs to be disseminated to the people of Guyana, especially people of a certain kind, so that they can understand exactly what is happening. Don't blindfold the people, because if I don't do it, somebody's going to come along that's going to do it. Someone is going to do it. Ernest Elliott. Well, Mr. Elliott, you would know all about the vision of the late great Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, because you would have had the privilege of working with him. And yes, had we expanded that vision and execute that vision that Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham had for Guyana, because the vision that he had for Guyana wasn't a vision of a divided Guyana. Because like I would have said many times on this program, a lot of East Indian Guyanese would have gotten rich or gotten their wealth in the time of Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. The lands that was distributed, okay? In the time when flour, the contraband era, right? They would have gained a lot, bringing in the contraband through the Mahaica River, wherever, right? They have gained a lot. So when people run to criticize, Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, we've never seen anyone since that comes 1 meter close to him. I don't even think they should be allowed to see his slippers. That's the separation between him and everyone else. He was way before his time. He was way before his time. Yes, Mr. Elliott, a vision for all Guyanese. Lyndon was doing great under Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. Today, Linden is being left to just fall apart. And then they're going to run in and say they're bailing out Linden, which in they're seeking to steal the riverfront and use it to do all their resorts and the different things that they already have and mapped out plans for Linden. But I say to the Linden people, and they're very resilient people, Lindeners have always stood up and stood out. Comrade London, Comrade Sharma Solomon, Comrade Darren Adams, Dominic Blair, Conan Marshall, Israel Garden, and so many others. Jason Benjamin, all the Lindeners, Otto Martin, these guys, they stand up and they fight. And Lindeners should rally around these gentlemen. Continue to hold on to Linden, people. It belongs to you. And all of you across Guyana, continue to hold on to your properties. Do not get rid of your properties. Okay? They're going to have major value in years to come. Those people who live along the East Coast, that's supposed to have an additional lot in the back dam. Please make sure that your lots are not taken away and given away because highways are being run in the back there. We got to stand up. The government of Guyana is operating for one ethnic group. I said this and I'm going to say it again. Do not worry with the people that you see have the same complexion as Wayne Caesar. We have the same complexion, but that's all. There is nothing else. We have the same complexion, nothing in common. No, you guys have to sit through Thursday. An entire speech. And I'm looking at the broadcast. I'm looking at the broadcast. And all I'm seeing through the broadcast, everybody's abusing, including me. The man spoke on the character on the record of the PPP. Okay. Let's do a quick synopsis of the PPP record. Let's do a quick summary, guys. That's a quick summary. The PPP record. Okay? 60% poverty. 32% extreme poverty. Blackouts throughout Guyana. No change in the price for cooking gas, right? We're supposed to have a gas shore-based project. Where gas to shore project that's supposed to make cylinder oil about $1,000 per cylinder. Well, I got a report from Guyana. I don't know if you guys got different numbers, but I got a report from Guyana. Somebody just pick up a cylinder of gas, $4,500. You guys tell me if I'm wrong or if that's a cheap price, because sometimes I just call some prices on this show and you guys just come in the comments and say, Mr. Caesar, this is cheap. We paid this amount in Georgetown. So I don't want to call 4,500 with no excitement. Like if, you know, that's expensive, then you guys are paying way more than that. All right? So you guys tell me if I'm wrong. All right? Tell me if I'm wrong. Let me see. There's another call. Good evening. You're calling in? Good, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I was rambling going on and there's another call here. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Brother Wayne, and good night to to the viewing audience. This is Israel Garden from the I Like the Show. Just giving a big up this evening to our people. I want to say a very good program, very informative. Big up to Mr. Wayne Arjo calling here earlier and give his perspective. You know, there is so much information that was being put forward tonight, and I hope that people, you know, gravitate to what was being put forward, you know, so that we can have a better understanding of as to where we are as a people and as a nation as a whole. Yeah.
All right. Yes. Thank you, brother. Thank you. And I must say to you and Conan and the rest of the highlighters, Theodore. Yes, I forget to call Theodore name. And the rest of the highlighters, you know, I want to really thank you guys for your contributions and your continued fight in Linden. You know, keeping Linden afloat, pointing out the issues, pointing out where government is lacking when it comes to supporting Linden, making sure that the municipality has the necessary resources, you know, to operate, you know, do garbage pickup, do all the different things that has to be done around Linden. Also, Mr. Gordon, I heard about the deplorable state of the roads in Linden. If you don't mind elaborating on that, if you're aware of what's happening there.
Late last year, I think, early into this year, there were a lot of projects that was given out, road projects and so forth. You know, the certain areas road was done well, we can safely say, and in other areas, you know, not so well. A lot of inconvenience, the people road being built without drain and all these manner of stuff. You know, water coming off the road into people yard because a lot of the roads are built higher than the yards.
Right.
You know, there is no drainage and there is no proper irrigation setting as we'd want to see. You know, but I believe infrastructural development must be done in a holistic manner where, for example, at the Linden level here, we have environmentalists. We got Mr. Sam Wright and these guys who work with the U.S. government in the past. And, you know, they understand the whole geographic layout of the town and all these manner of things. But these are persons who are not included in the conversation at the Linden level here. Even though Sharma Solomon, when he was mayor, he had pushed here for Mr. Sam right now to be included in a committee, you know, so that he can add his voice because he's an environmentalist, you know, and those men know the whole water layout and the water flow of the water flow patterns and everything up the top. But you see, when we look at things, brother, everything today becomes political. You know, so even though you might have the right knowledge as to how things should be done, once you're not aligning yourself with a certain group of people, your views will never be accepted and, you know, be tolerated, for a better word, as it is.
That's correct. That's 100% correct. That's 100% correct. I have experienced that. I have experienced that, and I continue to experience that. That is correct. 100%.
Yeah. You know, people time after time would ask me, you know, my political ideology, and I said to them, I'm a civic nationalist. I'm a nationalist. Once things are being done for the development of Guyana, I am willing to, you know, support it. I'm willing to give, you know, my best foot forward and help out in whatever way possible. But what we recognize, and I think we have taken things for granted. We have recognized that the current political atmosphere in Guyana continues to ethnically polarize this country. And the ethnic polarization of Guyana only suits a certain group of people or a certain class of people because it benefits from that, right? I want to say, you know, back in the 80s, early 90s, education in Guyana was something that, you know, the PNC placed major emphasis upon because we recognize that to have a prosperous nation, your people must be educated. You must develop them now your human resource capacity. What we recognize late down in the 2000s, the man who right now is sitting as the CEO of GWI, which is Shahid Bashir,
Right.
roll out a program called the No Child Left Behind. The No Child Left Behind program was strategically designed for one set of people.
Yeah, but it was also a disaster, though. It was also a disaster.
Yes. So what we find today, right? The No Child Left Behind today has produced a breed of young people in Guyana that calls themselves the scrapes, the fully dunce, and the dunce up. And once you are fully dunce, it means that you are a liability to the state. You cannot contribute to Guyana national development.
Right, but we have to keep in mind. But right, and you're correct. But what we also have to keep in mind is the same state that they're a liability to is that same state that would have created these people. Right?
Well,
Is
the
this
state now has created you so that they will build prisons to put you inside. Because remember, once you're a liability, it's either to kill you or to imprison you.
correct?
And that's about it. Look at the incarceration of a lot of young men today. Young men 25 going to prison for life imprisonment and all these kind of things. And I want to say, Brother Wayne, I'm here and I'm, just regurgitating some things that, transpire before and after the elections. And, I am of the view that Guyanese people, we have drifted so far that people today are not placing emphasis on policies that are conducive with national development. People are placing the emphasis upon personalities. So what we find happening in Guyana, for example, Brother Wayne earlier put it out, when we talk about the young people being empowered, go back to school, you get $50,000 a month stipend. So if you were going there for 9 months, which is the school year, you would have gotten $450,000 stipend from the APNU government just for going back to school for that 1 year. If you go for 2 years, you would have gotten there now $900,000. Now, people don't want to read and tap into policies. People worrying and studying about the cash grant. No,
Correct.
you look around. The people of Guyana right now, many of them are so upset. And the face long like when Cowboys row, because why? The 200,000 was promised. And Jack the OB and the chief spin doctor of the PPP came out and he come and he spin a bowl of body up on the people of Guyana. So what the people of Guyana gotta recognize is that the PPP have no developmental plan for the people of this country. You look at the big buildings that are going down around Georgetown. You got minister's son in work a day. And them men got big mansion putting up on the same Mokaland. On the same Mokaland, and how that the road, they said that the road they're supposed to run in that direction. Brother, I want to say this. The people of Guyana deserve better. And the better cannot come from the people. People have to come to a level of consciousness where we need to sit down and look at policies, plans, and programs that are conducive for national development. Look, in 2020, I think about a month or two after the PP got into government, we had the Borchum Collins College of Public Servants. Young people were going there, they were training now in public service life, and then you were sent back to your region so that you could function effectively. What the PP government did, they took that away. And, look around at young people today, what they do in Berbice, they go to Port Morant and they build Island Gas Institute. They're pushing the people in Berbice to Island Gas, while the young people in Linden got to get up in the morning and cut grass. So right away what that tells you, listen, Linden Region 10, you're not included in the national development conversation of this country. At the Lukembeng Square, when the PPP had the big rally in Linden here, if Ranhali words was vote for the PPP, then your priorities will be met in your community. So now, seeing as though people didn't vote for them, Linden continues to remain on the backbone of national development in this country. And I can tell you this evening, there's a lot of whispering going on within certain sections of the Linden community. And people saying that it is better we go self-governance.
Well,
it is better we take our case to the international community and go self-governance because we're not benefiting from anything that is pumping through this country. You look, between 2020 to 2025 this year, the PPP has spent over $5 trillion. But the latest report last week or week before the last on the IDB, then now is that 58% of the population living in poverty. So while we have the fastest growing economy in the world, the largest oil producing nation per capita in the world, we have the fastest growth of poverty also.
Right. There's where the economics is not balancing too right with me. You understand me? That's where the economics is not balancing too right with me. But Brother Israel, I want to go back to what you talk about, the state of our young people today. And let you know, I wanna go back on this because I don't want to ever see this again in my life. Because those 23 years that the PPP sat in government, I believe that we're facing the repercussions of those 23 years. Okay? They were able to condition the Guyanese people a certain way. All right? It was violence. It was extrajudicial killings. It was parties. You know, it was big fun. All right? For those 23 years. So, you find that a lot of people in the African Guyanese community also, they became 100% consumers. They weren't doing anything in their communities anymore. All right? And I believe that there were some lapsing also on the part of the opposition there. You know, to keep the people up on alert and educated as to what was happening there. Right?
You see, Brother Wayne, I want to say this to you, right? Let me look at the Linden area just for 1 minute.
Sure.
Right. I have done my studies in research methodology, right? When I was doing my final year. And I was, they said choose a topic. So I decided, I will choose migration from Linden because it was something that was bothering me, and these kind of stuff. And let me tell you, brother, Linden got the most educated people in this country per capita space. But we are the most marginalized and ostracized people in this country.
And why do you think that is? And why do you think that is?
Yeah, because we...
No. I don't disagree with you. But I'm asking you, why do you think it is that Linden, the people of Linden, are being marginalized more than anyone else?
Remember, we at the Linden level here, we don't grovel to anybody, We are the heart of the revolution, as we want to put it. We are very firm in our belief. We are very firm in our position when it comes then now to the economic and social transformation of our people. So once we choose not to grovel and, to be a clown to anybody, we then now go into the PPP black book. Because if you look at it, in the last 5 years, between 2020 to 2025, not one transformative project came to region number 10. Region number 10, as I just said to you, Linden, got the most educated people capita space, but we don't have a university campus here. But they went to Borbis and they put one there. They go there, they build an hospitality institute where they put it in Port Moran, Island Gas Institute, Port Moran. While Linden continues to be excluded from the national conversation, the national development conversation of this country. So, it is a hard task where we have our leaders. We got Sharma Solomon, we got Mr. Egerton David there, who the party program here in the comment section tonight. And we got Dominique Blair. Those guys have a hard task because it doesn't matter how much policies they put up. Once, it is coming from them, the government don't accept. Everything just leave just like this. And let me tell you something. When we had the bauxite company was kicking back in those days, we had over 6,000 persons used to be working at that bauxite company. Linden was a beautiful place, a prosperous place. Now we got both sides. Both sides probably got what 10% of that, which is 600 workers. And that is about it. But when you look at the economic decline of the town as being one, it's not by accident, it is being by design.
Design, correct.
So that the people of Linden must come and buckle and bow and grovel, so that you can be kicked around like a ball because it knows like, hey, we ain't got nothing. Let me tell you something, brother Wade. The Linden to Lethem Road, that road then was conceptualized under the APNU government. Because, we look at opening up that trade to Brazil and South America, into Latin America, into North America by extent. What the PPP had wanted to do in 2020 when they came in, they had wanted to divert that road and carry through boards and forests. They didn't want the road come here. They didn't want that road come here. Let me tell you something. When you go in Kokwani Region 10, Kokwani right now is the epicenter of poverty in Region 10. And when you go on the Kokwani waterfront, you see trucks upon trucks back up there waiting to go and pull out the lumber. But the people of Kokwani is not benefiting from anything there.
Well, Brother Israel is exactly Kokwani that I wanted to touch with you on, because I've gotten some news on the Linden to Kokwani Road, the horrible conditions of that road, the main road.
Brother Wayne and the viewing audience, under the APNU government 2015 to 2020, a contract was given out. I can't remember who got the contract. But the persons who had that contract, they maintained that road, because I went back and forth into Aichuri. And the road, then now I tell you, even the guys of Kokwani said, hey, from Kokwani to Linden, we taking an hour and a half because the road nice. Right now from Kokwani to Linden is about 3 hours. And what you find happening, the drivers from Kokwani to Linden right now, I think the fare is $3,000 from Linden to Kokwani. So when you look at the 3,000 to come out and the 3,000 to go back in, the $6,000 in the day. And that's really stiff upon the people of Kokwani that right now 90% of the community is unemployed.
Wow.
So the serious issue.
Wow.
The serious
Those are some startling numbers. 90% of the community is unemployed.
It's unemployed. I'm telling you, yes, 90% of that place is unemployed. Unemployment because after the bauxite company Rusal has shut shop and all these kind of things, a lot of men from Kokwani used to be there. They're now making a little money. Now you find when we went there, the Highlighted team went and visited there with Apostle Nigel London in October. It was revealed to us that a lot of parents has got to leave the children, probably with a 14 or a 15-year-old in the house, and they got to head into the background to make things happen. So they got 10 children are not even going to school. Sometimes they go to school 2 times per term and all those kind of stuff. Those are the reports that we have received from Kokwani.
Wow. And we talk about equity. We talk about equity, and I remember there was a 2020 manifesto that promised 50,000 jobs. I remember that. I remember the PPPC manifesto in 2020 promised 50,000 jobs, and I'm sure that they didn't even get the 5,000 jobs.
No, but what happened, Brother Wade, is that when the question was asked about the 50,000 jobs, the former Minister of Public Servants, who is the now Minister of Education, Sonia Parag, she said that, man, the government never said that. It was Photoshop. And I saw with my own eyes a PPP activist nailing up that placard right there, Linden at Lovers Lane Watershed. I saw that with my own eyes. So what you find is that every time the PPP is being cornered, they just come out and say, we never said that. Because look at the campaign trail. Imran Ali said, you guys will have a beautiful Christmas.
Correct. Correct.
Right? Then after the elections, when they got back there, he said, man, by the end of the year, the government is going to roll out some plan now that is going to be, a little ease, to the people of the country and cost of living. Now we come out and give a long epistle the other day. A long epistle. You understand?
And then at the end, he had nothing for the people.
Yeah, because why? People need to understand. Imran Ali is just being paid to be the president of Guyana. Bara Jagyo is the president, finance minister, and minister of all ministries. So whether people want to accept it or not, Ali cannot speak until Jagyo gives permission. And when he jump out and say something wrong, the chief in Dr. Jagyo has got to come there now and brush it up and polish it up. So Ali is just be there, just coming just to talk. But Bara Jagyo is the strong man behind the entire scene. He calls the shots. But when you look at Bara Jagyo performance, there is not one project that Bara Jagyo has put his hands to that has contributed to the national development of this country. Look at the Skelon Sugar Factory in 2009, 200 million US.
The white elephant.
In the Caribbean.
The white elephant, correct.
And after 16 years, this year, it has given us minus 0% returns on the investment.
But that's fine. That's okay. It's Bara Jagyo, so it's fine. It's Bara Jagyo, so it's okay. It's a PPP, so it's fine.
You know, Brother Wayne, what is very troubling, right? What is very troubling is that when I look at the APNU performance in government from 2015 to 2018, because after 2018, no confidence motion, we can say, here, take a government, and there was a lot of things, money going to be spent and all these kind of things. But then when you look at the 3 years, right, let me look at education first. With the implementation of the 5B program, in the first year, which is 2016, 1 year after, we saw a 10% improvement in school attendance throughout this country. Right? When we look at the CXC, we tapped the Caribbean with a pass rate of 73.5% in 2016. Let me look at the economic part now with the state of the economy in 2018. In 2018, we had the fastest growing economy in the Caribbean with a growth rate of 4.1% without Thailand non-oil economy. We had
That's accurate. That's correct. That's correct.
Public servants received 77% increase in salary between 2015 and 2019, which is equivalent to 19.25% per year without oil in a non-oil economy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look and you make the comparison today, we got island now flowing like the Atlantic Ocean. Public servants in receive 45% in 5 years. When you look at our teachers under the APNU, I could remember Miss Coretta McDonald. She said to Grange and them, I am willing to take off my APNU PNC jacket and put it down and stand in solidarity with our teachers. He called a meeting the time the Minister of Education was Nicolette Henry. He called and said, sort out things in these people pass. Teacher back in the classroom the very next day. Under the corrupt PPP regime, I am telling you, brother, look at it. Look at it. Teachers have to strike for something days and still yet to a mark like sell them out there because he's focusing upon himself. So the question needs to be asked. We have the fastest growing economy in the world on paper, the largest oil producer in the world per capita. But when we look at it, then the economic mismanagement continues.
Right, but Yeah, but
Poor fiscal planning leads to poor performance, and that's what we've seen on the landscape of our country today.
yeah, but I think one of the biggest things, one of the biggest issues, right, is how do we get rules of engagement? The PPP doesn't engage the opposition. I believe that there needs to be a measure of engagement before we can start moving the country forward. I don't believe that the PPP can move Guyana forward by itself. They just don't have the education capacity and the ability to manage the resources that are upon them, that are before them to be managed, right? So we got to have we first have to have some rules of engagement, okay, in order for us to move this thing forward. Because, like you said, Brother Israel, you're a nationalist. That meaning that, anything for the betterment of the people of Guyana, and that's where I stand also. I am not aligned with any specific party. I just want to see better for the people. That's what I'm here for. Right?
Brother Wayne, let me tell you something. The PPP in 2020 came out with a one Guyana doc, right? The last time I checked, one Guyana is a mere collection of words without substance and content, right? Because when you look at it, we had national events in this country, and I can tell you, already this year, we had flag raising ceremony at the Parliament building. The opposition, they weren't invited. Last year, we had the independence celebration at Linden here, and they come 24 hours before the activity, said they're giving out a little invitation, and very disrespectful. So what I'm showing you is that, let me tell you how we are in such a terrible state. A few Sundays ago, we had a terrorist attack upon our soil, right? Down on Regent Street. And Efren Ali was in Saudi Arabia. Mark Phillips there is acting president at the time. Army brigadier, retired brigadier, but now you're supposed to be a man that know great military intelligence and whatever it is. And, I watched things. I said, okay, let the Monday pass. The Tuesday, I called Sister Manza Walton this year. I said, I asked her, I said, you're a party now in the National Assembly. Did the government of Guyana invited you to a national security meeting on, what transpired here this morning? She said, no, she was never invited. I said, okay, and we had a little small talk there. I called Army Compton Norton, Comrade Lead. I called him. I said, good morning. I said, man, as a concerned citizen of Guyana, we had an act of terror on our side. And, I just want to know, was there any, invitation extended to you or the AP and UPNC to come and have a sit-in? He said, no letter. They were never invited. So what that tells you, we have terrorist act being committed on our side, and the opposition parties are not included in that conversation because you know what? The government tell themselves we can do as we wish and we can do as we please. Now, you know what that clearly shows me? We are playing politics with the national security of this country. And that there in itself is bad for governance because look at the September 11 attack on American soil. The Republicans, the Democrats, and the independents, they put down their jacket.
One government. Correct. One government. A collective.
As citizens of the United States of America, because every American life was impacted, whether directly or indirectly, by the September 11 attack. Now, owning Guyana here, what we find now, things like that now, until this day like today, there was no invitation extended out to the opposition parties to come and sit down and say, hello, you know what, we need to put a robust system in place that dealing with unchecked migration and all these kind of things. And Sister Manza Walton has spoken about it extensively. I can remember on the 27th of January this year in the Parliament, She spoke there now about the unchecked migration, and the Minister of Home Affairs now, who is Onit Waldron, she run out and say, oh, people spreading xenophobia. And well, xenophobia visited us a few Sundays ago.
Well, you know,
Go ahead, brother.
You know, Brother Israel, and you make some very, very good points. But I believe that a lot of these points we have been addressing. We have been addressing for some time now. Right? I believe we've done a lot in the last cycle, addressing and pointing out a lot of issues. But I believe now it's time for a call to action. You know, I believe that, you know, we have given the PPPC enough latitude. We have given them enough time now to correct themselves. I believe that the people in Guyana, the electorate, are the ones that needs to get involved. I mean, enough with the leaders. The leaders have been blamed over and over and over, but it got to stop at some point. At some point, the people has got to step up, all right? Examine themselves, look around themselves, and make the determination that what is happening here is not fair, it's not correct, okay? And we need to do something about it.
But brother,
right?
Let me tell you what is going on. The culture in Guyana today is this. The PPP has pauperized this nation to a troubling level where people don't even have time to read. People don't even have time to pay attention to what is going on. People just studying where the next meal coming from and what's going in the pot. So what you find is that when the people of Guyana starts to get agitated over time, what the government does, they call the entertainment arm of the PPP, which is Hits and Jams. Hey, them people acting up, bring in an artist, right? Bring Cartel, bring Skek, bring Meg, bring somebody. And then they got a big show in town when you go there now and you dance and wine and you drink and you get in your stupor and you suppress your anxiety for a day or two, and then reality comes and hits you in your chest like a big brick again. The people of Guyana, let me tell you what the PPP has been very skillful in, brother. Once you have an healthy nation and an educated nation, the PPP stand no chance of governance. But the PPP, they now like the illiteracy. So once you have illiterate people, it is easy to control illiterate people. Because if you tell them the sun shine at night, they will believe that the sun shine at night. They don't question nothing. They just go with the flow. They just go with the flow. So it tells me that our people need to get back to that place of listening, paying keen attention. For example, you come on every Saturday night. You give your take on a lot of matters. You got brother Mark Benchcap, he just roll out every night. The highlight tours, they just come out in the morning, drop a two thing. We got brother Sherrod, we got there Dr. Hines, and we got Kadaki every morning. And they got people in that time to listen. They got even your own Afro-Guyanese brothers are being, they're labeling you as racist because you're highlighting them now the issues that is affecting the African man in Guyana and many Guyanese to the extent. So they got a lot of people right now, once they can get a little contract to clean drains or they get a little road contract or to repair a few buildings or whatever, they're so comfortable in their war. Look, they got a PPP guy here, a guy named Christopher. Something from this small man yesterday or day before yesterday he made a life. And you know what is so appalling is that he now calling people hungry belly and low life because they're making nice over the little cash grant. So you see where things are going, brother, because people are hungry and desperate. Brother, when I can tell you, when you move around in London here right now and you go in the town, there is no feel of Christmas. You know, back in Guyana, Christmas season, carol playing all over the place, everybody excited. Move around right now, people face long like when cow bus road, brother. It is tough, it is tough, it is tough, it is tough. A slice of pumpkin right now is $900 in the fastest growing economy. Come on. Guyana need to understand we need to cut back on the excitement, cut back on the entertainment, and start to focus on things that are important for nation building and things that are important for our development as a people. But a lot of people, as I say, they're excited. They just want excitement. You watch when the cash grant will be paid out next year after budget. Matrimony is in February. They're going to bring an artist. And majority of the people that know go buy
spend the money right back there. But Israel, let's put it in perspective. When we talk about cash grant, cash distribution, right? This is something that should have been passed through the parliament. This way, you could set a threshold and say, okay, when we get to this amount of revenue earned, the Guyanese people are entitled to a cash distribution of 11%, 12%, or whatever of the monies that we would have gained as revenue once we get to that threshold. That means it is written, it's in law, okay? You don't have to have anybody coming like your daddy and telling you, okay, if you behave well, you're going to get this. And if you don't behave well, you're not going to get it. Or, you're not going to get it this budget. You got to wait until budget 26. When you had a budget 25 of $1.382 trillion, right? This is where we in the opposition, we got to step up. We got to step up. And we got to bail the cat. You just can't allow the runaway train to just run. All right? This is a new cycle now. All right? We got to get in on the Natural Resource Fund board. We got to make sure that we have people on the Natural Resource Fund board. If we don't have people on the Natural Resource Fund board, we got to bring our people in the streets. How are things going to change? We're going to be here for years harping about the same thing. You understand me? If we don't get aggressive and try to address some of these issues. The PPP is just walking all over the opposition because they tell themselves that the posture of the opposition will always be the same. They will not respond, or if they respond, they're going to respond verbally. But how long are you going to respond verbally? You have a Guyana Elections Commission that's a runaway train. That's a PPP commission. You understand me? There's nothing favorable to give Guyanese who are not PPP hope that there's going to be a change in government. So I believe that we need to start shifting. We cannot stay on the same, I wouldn't even call it trajectory, because it's not trajectory at the moment. We are trying to figure out, you understand me, how we're going to deal with this new cycle. I don't think there's a direct plan, a direct vision, a direct approach, because if there is, it cannot be a direct approach without, protest being a part of it. This PPP government has shown that you can talk from today until next year. We ain't moving. We ain't moving.
Here we gotta happen, right? Here we gotta happen. One, the opposition plays an important role in our democracy. The opposition are the eyes and the ears of the people, and it is responsible for making sure that there are proper checks and balances in our democratic institutions and all these kind of things. Now, when we look at the parliament today, we have a different configuration where we have Forward Guyana, we have then now the Win Party, we have the APNU. Those are the parties that make up the opposition side of the house in the legislative branch of government. Now, I am there. I've been sitting in a corner for a while and trying to pull a few things together. And what is very troubling is this, right? Is that Forward Guyana knows exactly what is affecting the people of Guyana. The Win Party knows exactly what is affecting the people of Guyana. The APNU knows. The AFC knows. The ALP knows. But if everybody knows what is affecting the abyss. But you know what continues to hinder us in mind, and this is my view. The egos. The egos.
That's it.
Everybody, because everybody looking
That's it.
Part.
Well said. Well said. Well said.
Instead of the collective, which is Guyana, because I want people to understand that Guyana is bigger than the PNC. It is bigger than the AFC. It is bigger than the WIN. It is bigger than the Forward Guyana movement. So when you look at it, does Sister Manzo Walton got the ability to lead Guyana? Yes. Does Azudin Mohammed? Yes. Does Arvin Arnold, Terence Gamble, whoever? Yes, you got it. Does you got people from the AFC, Patterson and those men, you got Sister Simona Brooms, can they lead? Yes. So when you look at the opposition camp, you got some of the most, or possibly most educated group of people sitting in the opposition camp, understand exactly what are the problems facing Guyana, but we cannot come together and sit down in the cold room and say, listen, we have to save this station. So while you might be thinking about fighting PSM, while you fighting and I fighting, forget the bread, it means that we cannot walk alone and do it. We have to come to coalition politics, and I want people to understand something very carefully. Coalition politics is the only politics that can unify this country. Because when the PNC ruled for 28 years, a lot of people jump out and say, that man ban plugger, this and a whole bag of nice. Okay, fair enough. The Indian man feel to some extent that he wasn't treated fairly. Now only we look from 1992 then now to 2023. The Afro-Guyanese man feel to some extent that now that he's not included in the national development conversation of this country. He was at one time he was even relegated to a state of nothingness because you had an Afro-Guyanese in the late then Dr. Raja Longchamp, who stated that there was no qualified Afro-Guyanese then now to be ambassador for Guyana. What that tells you, because the PPP strategy was to present Guyana to the international community as an Indian state, whether you want to accept it or not, that's a fact. Because you can't tell me Afro-Guyanese for so long have been running behind academia, and you're going to find nobody to put there. But when Granger came into power, Granger are now going to find people of all ethnic groups and put them in a place to serve. Come on.
Look, Israel, I am looking at a comment here from Bonita Browder. She's saying that Forward Guyana movement was the only one calling for unity among all the opposition political parties. Well, Bonita, look, you may be correct, but I am sure that there's somebody from APNU that's going to say the exact thing that you're saying. Somebody from AFC, somebody from WIN, somebody from all the parties that's going to say the same thing that you said. Only their party was calling for unity. But and I respect what Bonita is saying here. I respect what Bonita is saying here. But what I would like to see is all of these leaders on one front. And this is a point that I always make to these guys. You understand me? Being a leader is a privilege given to you by the people. Don't get beside yourself to feel because you're given this privilege by the people. You understand me? That, the people are beneath you. No, it's the people that would have put you there. And you have to show, that ability to execute on behalf of the people. Sometimes you have to forget about your own ego. And Israel, you put it very well. Ego, because I've been preaching that here. I've been preaching that people's ego has been getting the better of them over and over. That's why we're at the same position that we're at. Yeah. Now, if everybody can put their egos to the side, and everybody going to let's use Congress Place, because that's the PNC got the facility, and everybody sit down in there, and they don't come out until they have a nice solid groundwork to an agreement. You can get an agreement in one day, but a start, my brother, is progress. A start is progress. But here what the trends has been, though, Israel. You see, we got to go with the trends, because we were just removed from what would have occurred between the AFC and the APNU. We cannot forget these things, because when we forget them, they're going to reoccur. That's why it's good for us to discuss these things. You cannot wait until the 24th hour to decide that you're coming together. You have to start building a coalition from now. From like yesterday. Like yesterday. Look, the PPP is already in campaign mode. You know, the PPP don't stop campaigning.
But they never stop campaigning. They never stop campaigning. I wanna share something with you and the viewing audience tonight, Brother Wade, right? And the young lady that put it out just now, Sister Bonita Growler, or whatever her name is. It is the PNC who has always, look in the direction for coalition politics, because 2010, 2011, it was the APNU that bring together what we call a Partnership for National Unity, which is the APNU, right? And even into the 2025 elections here, they had, I think, about 2 other small parties came on board and joined up with the APNU, coalition team moving forward. Let me tell you this, coalition politics, it is a politics that now, it's a politics of inclusion, a politics of participation, it is a politics of consultation. Now, let us look at the cultural difference between the Indo-Guyanese and the Afro-Guyanese when it comes to politics, right? In 2019, Bara Jagdeo and P.K. Franali are put him to the front of the class. And you and I know he's not the brightest in the class. But what happened here? Ashley Singh, Frank Anthony, Priyamani Chan, Gail Teixeira and the others, none of them didn't kick up and make no noise and say, hey, I'm more bright more than me, and I should be the man for this spot. You know what they did? They rallied around the IFLOC University graduate. And you know what their own thing in their head? This thing is not about Ifranali. This thing is about the institution, the PPP, getting into governance. When you look at it now on the opposition side of the house, pound for pound, we got the most educated people on the opposition side of the house. But
by far.
What's our problem?
By far.
Here, what is our problem on the opposition side and the Afro-Guyanese basis is that instead of we looking at the institution, we then now looking at personality. For example, when we put up Artie Compton there to lead the APNU, some people are like, oh, he's Artie nothing. Oh, we ain't got time with it. Oh, all right. We think that now we say, we like him. Oh, we like that Nigel youth. Oh, we like Nigel. We like Amanzo. Oh, we like this body. We like this body. And when you sit and you look at it, we have been more focused upon personality instead of institutions coming together and shifting into governance so that it can rescue Guyana from the economic mismanagement and the abyss that we're heading into. So when we sit down, we look at it. You see what the PPP does? You look around in this country, the PPP can do the guards. The Indian man has been very quiet. Because here, why he recognized culturally, it is not designed for them to criticize their leaders. But over in Guyana here, we find we got a lot of our people run and talk things that is not factual.
And to some extent, they're not educated enough, some of them, to criticize their leaders either. They're just designed to follow the narrative.
But here what got us in the whole thing, and I can tell you from the data that I gathered on the ground leading up to the elections, people were asking, what is the position of the APNU AFC? Will there be a coalition? I said, boy, talks are going on. We don't know. And you understand me? We're watching to see. And then what happened? Talks collapsed. Because who wants 16, who wants 14, who wants this, who wants consensus candidate, and a whole bag of stupidness. A whole bag of nonsense went down. And then what happened there now? A vacuum is, a big space is open there. Now when the wind party come and say, well, hey, what can I go play with emotions of the people? And the wind came, then now we're making roads.
Well,
But
we also no. We also got to think about also the financial handouts that would have came there too. Let's not forget what happened also during this election cycle from a financial perspective, because that would have impact this election a whole lot.
Well, we know a lot of monies were being paid, people were being paid money wrap up in Jersey and the whole thing. But I want Guyanese people to understand something, right? Elections have consequences. And for too long, people have been running into elections with their emotions. I don't like how he distressed. Oh, he's dying, while he's drinking. And a whole bag of talk. Some people never even buy a shot water, take a little drink and just say you just take a drink. But when you look at this, brother Wayne, those are the people who were first and foremost with the criticism. We as a people need to understand. When you look at the APNU performance, APNU AFC in governance, they did a very good job. Let me tell you something, brother Wayne. Right? And everybody can tell you good job. And you see, brother Winston Jordan, that man is a 5-star general in my book. Because that was a man there now that balanced this economy. We had 5 years of macroeconomic growth. In 2015, let me tell you this, brother Wayne, and if many guys never heard this, they can hear this here tonight. In 2015, a few days after David Granger was sworn in as president of this country, he had to go borrow $400 million from the Jamaican bank to pay sugar workers. That guy Suko had $0 and an $85 billion debt watching over the head.
Yes,
So
it was an empty treasury that was left to them. Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Those men came and they decided that we are going to balance the economy. We're going to give. I can remember at schools who had sweeper cleaners was making like $28,000 a month. David Granger and men come in and said, no, this money you can't do. Let me give them people a proper raise. Right now, when you get sweeper cleaner work, there's a big task because people not giving up their work. We got to love the salary and the benefits. So when you look at that, brother Wayne, I read an article, I think yesterday or today, where Barajang talk about guys Suko and sugar. They, between 2020 to present, they have spent over $60 billion. Over $60 billion in Gaisuko, and we have gotten minus 0% returns on the investment in 5 years. So what that tells you now here, to come and say, the private sector will have to deal with that. Because why? Sugar then now was being used as a political tool. I could remember when the Wales estate was closed. Barajang run out that he when he come back into government, and he said the closing of the Wales estate was pure racism. So government not dealing with sugar today, no way of call it. So the point I'm bringing to you is that we as a nation, and I want to call on the opposition tonight, is that you guys need to come together and save this country. Because prior to 2015, brother Wayne, the European Union gave to the PPP $348 billion to the diversification of Gaisuku. And when you sit and look at it, nothing was done. Absolutely, where is that money today? Where is that money today? So if we, the opposition side, we're looking and we're seeing all one of these things going on. Why is it that we cannot come together and work and share governance? Because why would like to see, okay, let us say if the Win Party, the APNU Forward, and the other parties come. I would like to see where, okay, let us say you come as a coalition, you get into government. Somebody from the Windsor 2 years as president, somebody from Akusor 2 a month to get a 1 year from the forward Guyana, and you show the people that you're willing to share governance and everybody get a feel and a balance of the thing. But once we continue with this party paramountcy and party domination, we will never reach the destination because why we are allowing simple things to hinder us from moving forward collectively.
Well said, my brother. Do you have a closing remark that you would like to give to the people in parting?
I would like to say tonight, Guyana is at the crossroads. Guyana is at the crossroads. And I want to call upon the ABNU. I want to call upon Sister Manzo Walton this year, Forward Guyana. I want to call upon Azuddin Mohammed, the wingman, because whether some of us like him or we don't like him, he is the presumptive opposition leader and he must be respected as such. I would like to call on Sister Simona Brooks, David Patterson from the AFC. The people of Guyana are calling for you guys to go into chambers and have a serious conversation about this country and the people of this country. Those are the information I'm gathering on the ground as I move around because I continue to gather data. And the thing about it is that the people of Guyana are fed up. They are tired. When we look at it, poverty has risen exponentially in the last 5 years. And the people of Guyana cannot continue another 5 years under this kind of a structure, under this kind of a system.
All right.
So, I want to say to the leaders of the opposition side of the house, let us put away our egotistical attitude, our behavior, because Guyana is bigger than you. And I'm calling on you people tonight, let this be the rallying cry that let us put ourselves together, let us work together. Can we do it? Yes, we can. Can we do it? Yes, we can. And we can work together to save Guyana from the kleptocratic ethno-fascist PPP regime that has continued to mismanage the affairs of this country. And that's my parting words for tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Brother Israel. You guys know Israel very well. He's a young Guyanese historian, okay? Israel, thank you so much.
Yes, brother.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you had it there. We had two interesting callers, very, very good points. Put out there tonight. Yes, Sandra Haynes is saying, yes, we can. Yes, we can. I don't doubt that we can't do it. Yes. And we have smart people on the side of the opposition. Very, very, very smart people. But sometimes, man, and Israel right, and I've been speaking of this, for an eternity on this program, when you have a room filled with smart people, sometimes the egos come to the forefront. Right? And when the egos come to the forefront, right, they're blanked out. It's just the ego. They forget everything about the people. All right? We got to understand, leaders, that we are here to serve the people. Let's execute our duties. Let's try to get it together quickly because, again, you wait until the 24th hour, the results are going to be the same as they were September 1st. All right, let's get this early. The results are not going to change if we start at the 24th hour. All right, we got to get going now. These leaders, they got to work for 5 full years. Can't work for 3 months or 10 months. Got to work right through. The PNC, their leadership, they gotta look at their structure. They got to evaluate their structure. They got to make their corrections based on what would have happened the last time. Again, I see Denise Booker was saying she disagreed with me. I don't know exactly what, but I hope it's not a manifesto because I said that their manifesto is the best I've ever seen in my lifetime. The manifesto is the best that I ever see. I would use that manifesto again in 2030 with some very small tweaks. There's nothing much to do there. All right? That's a futuristic manifesto right there. Nothing else to be done. It's now about the people. All right? Now, it took people to come together and prepare that manifesto, ladies and gentlemen. And if they could have done such an excellent job presenting such an excellent manifesto, well, come on, guys. We know what they can do if they all come together as one and decide, look, when we get into parliament, it's one opposition. Don't talk about each other behind each other's back. Don't get into those small talks, those lollygagging little stuff, you know. Just get in there and take care of business. Let's bring about change in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Okay, let's bring about some change. And these leaders, they got to start acting as leaders. They got to start leading the people. There are people out there that's astray that needs to be led. Okay, so there's work to be done. There is work to be done. I want to give a big highlight and shout out to Comrade Sherrod Duncan, man. I love the way Sherrod worked the people on the ground. He has an excellent relationship with the people on the ground, you know, and he continues to love them. They continues to love him, you know, and he's moving from strength to strength. That's what we need to be seeing. Brother Kedaki Amsterdam on every morning. Dr. David Hines on during the week, you know, educating. Both Brother Wayne Archer and Brother Israel would have talked about that. Education is needed, okay? The PPP took 23 years to get our people this way. We have got to reverse that. We have got to break that chain. And yes, boss man, go live. Biometric and a clean voters list is necessary. It's a necessity. You billing out your party again to challenge in 2030 as a full coalition. You guys have to be out there challenging for that new voters list and biometrics. Yes, boss man, go live. Nothing is going to happen. I can tell you this. Everybody can come and work together, okay, and put together a strong coalition. And you go to 2030 and you will still lose an election. Why? Because, like I told you guys before, that list was tampered with. The PPP can win 3-4 different type of elections depending how you put them with that list, the way it was tampered with. Okay? You need a new list. All the opposition parties need to have possession of that list. You need better checks and balances at the Guyana Elections Commission. That's a runaway train. That needs to be fixed, comprehensively fixed. Okay? And you need biometrics to accompany that new voters list. Then we could talk about the electorate determining who they want to manage their nation. That's when we can talk about the electorate. Until then, the PPP would have given themselves the amount of seats that they would have gotten, 36 or whatever it was, and give the 16 seats to the Win and the 12 seats to APNO and the 1 to Forward Guyana. That's what happened. It was just a sharing of seats. Okay, that's why GCOM has not come and pronounced on anything as yet. They have not pronounced on anything as yet. And again, I just want to make this point very clear. I think this is what maybe Sister Denise Booker was talking about. Finances played a massive role. Finances played a massive role in the last elections. All right? The APNU played it clean. All right? To garner 12 seats, playing it clean, it's kind of like a feat there, man. It's like attaining a good feat right there. To garner 12 seats, playing it clean. Because everybody else played with cash, except for Forward Guyana Movement and the other small parties there. Everybody else played with cash. And they had a lot to spend. All right? Guyanese, if we're going to change Guyana around, if we're going to change the trajectory of Guyana, our morals got to change. We got to get back to those morals that our foreparents would have taught us. We got to put our values back in place. All right? We have to stop being lawless. And as the two callers would have said, we need to take time every day to educate and edify ourselves. whether it is that you're reading, okay, or whether it is you're tuning into a program that you know that you're going to be edified. Cursing and profanity, people hear that every day. That's not doing anything good for the mind. All right, let's participate in programs that's going to help us to grow as individuals and grow as a nation. All right, we have come to the end of tonight's broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back next Saturday, the 27th. I know, Miss Deslyn Wilson, next Saturday, the 27th, is a big day for you. But we will be back next Saturday, the 27th, for another program of Over to You. I hope you guys would have enjoyed this program. I hope that it would have been edifying to you guys. And to all of you, a Merry Christmas. To those of you who don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays to you. Okay, we have this thing in the United States where we say happy holidays, but hey, I'm Guyanese. I still know about Merry Christmas. Okay, and I'm sure that there's little children out there that is looking for toys and looking for, their little gifts at Christmas. Try to make the Christmas as happy as you possibly can, ladies and gentlemen. And look, guys, you need to spend time in prayer, right? Because you see what's going on between the United States and Venezuela. All right, keep your eyes peeled. Guyana is right in the crosshairs of that. All right, so let's pray. All right, let's pray. Let's hope that this doesn't escalate into a full-scale war, because I'm sure Venezuela may have something aiming at Guyana and all of these kind of stuff, and we need to make sure that our nation is protected. All right, until next weekend, guys, enjoy the Christmas. I must say, today is what? Today is Saturday. We have about 4 more days before Christmas. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, we have about 4 more days before Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, especially on the ground in Guyana, be careful of you as you traverse the highways and the byways, man. All right, let's try to cool things down, right? Respect. Let's do the 5 C's. Let's don't have any loss of life or any injuries over the holiday. All right, and if you're gonna be partying and going to functions and these type of things, try to be moderating your drinking. Don't drink and drive. For the guys who carry firearms and stuff, maybe you want to leave that home and stuff like that, and let's have some proper prudent behavior, man. All right, let's try to calm down on the lawlessness for the new year. You understand me? And start acting the way that our foreparents would have taught us to behave, right? With some good values and love one for another. Until next Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, I love each and every one of you. Love you, love you, love you. Over to you. Good night.